Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Invasion Episode 9 recap and review. The title of this episode is Full of Stars. Before we go into the episode, please make sure you like this video, guys, and I'm enjoying it, and please make sure to subscribe if you're new as we keep up with Invasion and all the new movies and TV shows that are out there. And so, guys, listen, we're in the home stretch now. We got only 2 episodes left, and we're finally going to be able to see, like, does the show have any sort of payoff? And this episode throws a lot at us. There's so much to discuss and theorize and talk about. So this probably will be a longer video in terms of a recap and review. But let's just get right into it. So the episode begins with a Mitsuki and Hinata flashback. It seems like this is like their first date as Mitsuki is bringing Hinata back to her apartment. She picks up a little piece of clothing like a shirt. I thought this was maybe because maybe it seemed like she was cheating on her, or she doesn't want her to see another girl's clothing on the floor. Or maybe she just thinks her room is messy and she wants to clean up a little bit. I don't know. That doesn't really matter. What's important about this scene is that Hinata makes a comment about her David Bowie poster. And she says that she reminds her of David Bowie. And she says that Mitsuki reminds her of space because she's dark and mysterious. And Hinata is like, it's a good thing I'm an astronaut. And then they kiss, right? Whatever, dumb little scene. We then cut to present time, where we see Hinata is still alive. She's floating through space in her astronaut suit. She recognizes or sees a debris from the ship. It's a big chunk of the ship that, the Hoshi 12 that got destroyed. She sees a chunk of it. And so she decides to, like, swim towards it in space. I'm not like a space physics expert. I don't know how space works that much, but she can't just swim to the piece of debris, right? That's not really how space works. Don't they need rockets to, like, maneuver around in space, like some sort of booster on her shoe? She can't just swim towards the debris, right? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. I may just be dumb, but let's continue. Hinata makes her way inside that chunk of the ship, right? Inside, she sees the videos that Mitsuki sent to her, the videos of herself through the transmission thing that we saw in the last episode, right? So Hinata speaks through the comms, and she's trying to communicate with Mitsuki, right? And so this is the sound we also heard at the end of last episode. It's Hinata speaking, and Mitsuki tries to, like, talk back to her. So after this, we get the opening credits, and I do like the opening credits. I think the score is good. It's too bad the show, like, isn't good, because I do like those opening credits. It's very, like, ominous tone, seeing all the different buildings or whatever. But whatever, let's keep going on the recap. So now we cut to Casper, Trevante, and I think the girl's name is Jam, and they're in the hospital now. They're searching for a neurologist that would give Casper a seizure so that he could, like, see all of his drawings he's been doing, right? He wants to force himself to get a seizure. I forgot what his main purpose is for wanting to get the seizure, but something, to stop the aliens in some way, right? So they find a neurologist. The neurologist obviously doesn't want to just give some random kid a seizure. I thought this next part was so cringe with the writing, because again, Trevante, like, he's starting to turn into the character that I dislike the most. Like, he just seems more cringe. Like, it used to be Anisha. I used to think she was super cringe, but Trevante, like, his line deliveries and, like, the lines that they give him are so bad here, because the neurologist, you can't blame her for not wanting to give some random kid a seizure without the parents' consent, right? So Trevante is like, cut this medical bullshit out, because I've seen doctors perform tests on kids and experiment on them, so don't give me this medical bullshit. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Obviously, this nurse doesn't want to give this kid a seizure, like, for no random reason except whatever nonsense you guys are throwing at her. I just thought it was really bad writing. Again, just came off as cringe to me, but let's keep going. So then we cut to Anisha, who's still in the morgue, right? And the military are with her in the morgue, and they're performing some tests with the black dragon glass, right? With, like, that alien gook thing that we saw in the last episode. So this scene, they just realize that they can use the dragon glass to kill the aliens in some way. They see the gook, like, disintegrate from, like, the chemicals in the dragon glass thing. So now, the military knows how to defeat them with this thing. And they want to bring the family to the Pentagon. So that's where they're going now. So now the next scene was, I thought this was so comical, this scene. I thought, like, it was so bad in so many ways. So it's Mitsuki trying to talk to Hinata, right? The girlfriend. She just got communications open, and they're talking, right? So the American military guy is with them, right? They're in Japan, I think. Most of everyone's Japan, but they have the military presence there as well from America. And so the military guy thinks that Mitsuki is not talking to Hinata, but that she's actually talking to the aliens, pretending to be Hinata, right? That's, like, his main thing. So he tells the main Japanese guy, the boss of JASA, that he has 78 minutes for her to make peace, or else they're going to nuke the target, which is where Hinata is, right? That we saw in the beginning. So after this, the father of Hinata confirms it's his daughter from the transmission of what they're hearing, right? And so he confirms it's Hinata, but he says it's her, but she's not breathing, which I don't know what that means. But then after this, one of the American military girls She says, "It's the aliens. They must be pretending to be Hinata." And that's sort of like where that scene ends. It just seems so confusing to me. And now that I've realized by the end of this episode, they go back and forth so many times with this transmission thing, like if it being cut off, it coming back on. It just seems like they're going around in circles with this here. But let's continue. So now we head back to Casper. The neurologist agrees to give Casper this seizure, right? So we see him hooked up to like this CAT scan machine. He's all plugged in. Trevante and Casper have like this long, drawn-out conversation. I thought it went on for too long. We pretty much learn that Casper's father was abusive to his mom, at least. We don't know if he was also abusive to Casper. And that Trevante's son was sick in a hospital, and that's why he doesn't like hospitals. That's pretty much all we learned from that scene. And we actually cut away from there, and we go back to Anisha and the family. And this scene was interesting. I have to say, I was pretty engaged with this scene that goes on here. So they're in the back of the military truck. They're going to the Pentagon, right? So all of a sudden, another military vehicle starts trailing them on the road behind them, right? And so the military guys that are with them, they're confused because there's not supposed to be any more convoy with them. So the military guys are all confused. They're like, who is this person, whatever. So then the vehicle pulls up next to them. We see that there's another black truck with this mysterious military vehicle. All of a sudden from the top hatch opens, and someone who's obviously non-military comes out with a rifle and starts shooting at the military truck that has Anisha and the family with them, right? So everyone starts shooting at each other, whatever. Someone in the black truck has a sniper, and they shoot the tire of the military vehicle, and the military vehicle just tops over and crashes. Listen, again, I'm no bulletproof tire expert, but I would think that a military vehicle could stop a sniper's bullet, no? Or is that too high of a caliber? Because I know snipers have a higher caliber bullet. I thought maybe a military vehicle could beat that out, but let me know down below again. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not an expert, but I did think it was a little bit cheap. I thought the vehicle might have been able to take that bullet. Or at least a tire. So let's keep going though. So now back to Casper. He is having his seizure. And so we see all the images that he starts seeing, right? A lot of weird images of stars, space, darkness. We see like an eclipse. And we also see it looks like the surface of another planet, which I'm not sure if that's like another planet or maybe it's like it's Earth's future, like what maybe happens with once the aliens come and do whatever they're doing. And then he even sees Sam Neill's character. We have Sam Neill, the first time his face shows up since episode 1. So he obviously plays into this somehow, or maybe he just sees his character for no reason. I'm still not sure what their plans are with Sam Neill. I don't think they're going to use him again. Honestly, I don't think we're going to see him again. And so he snaps out of it, and as he snaps out of it, he says they're here. And then he says that the aliens are coming towards the building. As he says that, we see Jam, who's the girl, and she sees that an alien is coming towards the hospital building. So after this, we cut to a quick scene where we see that Anisha and the family are able to escape from the crashed truck while everyone's shooting at each other. You know, the military guys are shooting at these random people who I guess stole a military vehicle, and they're shooting back and forth. Throughout the chaos, the family is able to escape into the woods, right? So then we go to Mitsuki, who gets her transmission with Hinata cut off. And so, you know, she's like asking why, you know, it got cut off or whatever. One guy says one interesting piece of dialogue, which I want to touch upon. He says that cities are falling and that they're turning our atmosphere into poison, which is, I'm thinking, a reference to a future part of this episode. And so I think the poison atmosphere thing plays into what we'll see later on in this episode. There's like that alien gook starts going on the trees, and I think maybe the alien gook in the trees is them turning our atmosphere into poison through that. But we can talk about that later on. So in the same scene, they want to prove that it's Hinata talking, right, and not the aliens. Mitsuki says that she can prove it, just turn the transmission back on. And so they'll eventually turn it back on. So now we cut to Anisha and her family who are in the woods. The people who attacked their vehicle are now searching for them in the woods. They're sort of like hiding out in the middle. This is where I'm fully convinced Ahmed hates his family. Like straight up, I think he hates them. Because he offers up a solution to where he stays behind and they go on without him. He wants to do this whole like sacrificial thing. Anisha's like, you can't reason with these people, just stay or whatever. And he's like, no, you guys go and I'll stay here. And that's pretty much what happens. They go and he stays behind, and now we cut to a different scene. So now we got Trevante, Casper, and Jam. They're in the hospital. The aliens are now in the hospital. They're sort of creeping around. We get a good like blood splatter scene as we see through a window an alien attack a human, and we see the blood splatter like, you know, splash onto the window. I thought it was pretty cool for what it was. I thought this whole scene was pretty suspenseful. The alien ends up like breaking through the window, and Trevante, Casper, and Jam, they run away down the hallway. Trevante puts the kids into a closet while he decides to go 1v1 against this alien. Like straight up just 1v1. I thought this was cool. You know, like at the moment I was like how is Trevante going to take down this alien? His solution is that he grabs I guess it's not an oxygen tank, right? Because I don't think oxygen tanks are able to shoot a fire like that. But that's exactly what happens. He grabs his tank, and he's able to open it up or do something, and fire sprays out at the alien. So while he's like flamethrowing this alien, Casper's in the closet, and he like sort of like feels the same pain that the alien is feeling. He's like, oh, my head burns, my head burns. And so he's freaking out. Obviously, there's some sort of connection between him and these aliens, right, that are shown right here. And we're led to believe that the alien dies from this fire. But as we know, like, nothing can really kill these aliens except for their dragon glass. So the alien comes back to life. We see another alien coming out around the corner. And it seems like they're both going to gang up on Travante. And that scene ends. So the next scene is actually seeing Ahmed. I thought this scene was super weird. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to like it because of the one thing that happens at the end of it. And, you know, while watching, I was a little bit confused, but I think I know what was happening now. So Ahmed runs into, like, this military guy, right? And who I think is someone who's pretending to be military, but he thought he was a friend. He thought he was a good guy. He thought it was someone that was in the truck with them. But I think that guy was pretending to be military, and he was actually part of the group that attacked their vehicle, because the guy tells Ahmed that, yo, it's safe. Go tell your wife that it's safe to come out. Call her out. And so Ahmed sort of knows that this guy's fishy. And so he's sort of hesitant about it. But he's like, Anisha, come out, come out. Anisha either doesn't believe Ahmed or she thinks it's not safe. So while the kids want to go back to Ahmed because it's their dad, Anisha sort of pulls them away and they keep going. So the military guy, he gets upset about Anisha not coming out. And so he says, I'm not dying. Get your wife over here. I'm going to kill you. Ahmed just says, like, Anisha, run. And then you hear a gunshot, and we see that Ahmed dies. You know, he gets shot. I know a lot of you guys are probably happy about that. And, you know, I just realized it now, that line that he says, when he says, I'm not dying, I think why those guys attacked the military vehicle and they want Anisha, they keep calling out for Anisha, right? They're trying to find the lady, is what they call her. I guess it's because she has the dragon glass, or she knows about the dragon glass, and so maybe they figured that out and they know that's the only type of defense against these aliens, so they want her for that. I'm still not sure. They didn't give us a reason on what these guys wanted. That's what I took away from it. So Ahmed is dead, presumably. Next episode, they could do a cop-out to where maybe the guy like shot the tree and Ahmed's still alive. I don't think so. I think Ahmed is dead, so let's continue. So now the next scene just seems like mindless action. I'm sure even a lot of the people that, you know, they see this show as like a very sophisticated show, they probably hated this scene because it was just Travante like shooting at these aliens. They were running away from them, and that scene actually cuts away as we go to Anisha, and she's in the woods with her kids, and she comes across a big area of the woods that's filled with that alien gook everywhere. It's on the trees, it's on the ground, it's everywhere, and her dragon glass thing starts to react with it. So now we go to Mitsuki, who's talking to Hinata. She asks Hinata what was the first thing that she said to her on their first date, right? So then all of a sudden in the transmission, David Bowie's song starts playing. I think it's Space Oddity by David Bowie. And I thought this was so dumb. You know, Space Odyssey is what, like, the most basic sci-fi song that you can put in the show. And it starts playing, and Mitsuki starts tearing up because she knows it's Hinata now. But, like, for one, how does Hinata even have that song? She's in a debris thing in space. Does that thing have Spotify? Like, what is going on here? So the song starts playing. Everyone, all the Japanese people, they're like, what's going on? What's going on? The old guy is like, it's David Bowie. And I'm just like, laughing at this point because I thought it was so dumb. And so then the song just stops. The transmission's cut off again. Hinata asks them, like, why? They're like, it wasn't us this time that cut it off. So she goes to the American military guy. She goes into his office. It was obviously him that did it. And so his reasoning behind it's so weird, and he sort of contradicts himself. The first thing he says that he thinks the aliens are playing our radio on the transmission. So he doesn't think it's Hinata. He thinks it's the aliens playing our radio back at us. And then, you know, so that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would the aliens want to do that in the first place? It's so dumb. And then he says, you know, even if it is Hinata, our president is willing to sacrifice one person to save billions. So that's just contradicting himself. Like, what does he believe? Does he believe it's Hinata, but he doesn't care? Or does he believe it's the aliens playing the radio back at us? Whichever way, I guess his decision doesn't matter because he's taking orders from the president, I guess. But that scene just sort of ends. So now we go back to Travante and Casper and Jam. The aliens are circling around them. And so, you know, they're about to die. But then I guess it turns out Casper is like the Professor Xavier of these aliens. Because he says a line where he's like, they're in my head, but I'm also in theirs. So then he just says stop. And the aliens just stop. They just stop right in their tracks. And, you know, and then that's, like, I think some people will like this since there's a lot of, like, fan favorites. I mean, Casper's, like, a fan favorite for a lot of you guys, and he's, like, a big part here. I just thought it was so dumb. It was, like, a little bit of a cop-out to just have Casper be able to just say stop and these aliens stop. Like, what's his real connection with them? Like, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense to me now. And then, so I thought that was dumb. And then the exclamation point on this whole dumb scene was that Casper collapses, so he's all weak in Jam's arms. And Jam is like, "You did it. That was some Jedi shit." And I'm just like, who wrote this? So as Casper's collapsed now, he starts mumbling. He's like, "My mom, my mom, my mom." And he seems to be dying. And then David Bowie starts playing again, and we cut to Anisha and the kids in the woods. And I'm sorry I'm laughing so much. This show is just so dumb sometimes. So Anisha and the kids, they look up at the woods, right? And they see a big explosion in the sky, which looks like that they nuked Hinata. That debris, the signal, the transmission, wherever it's coming from, of where we saw Hinata in the beginning, looks like they nuked it as they see the explosion in the sky. The aliens in the hospital, we see them, and they just drop, so I guess they're dead too. And then Trevante and Jam, they look up into the sky and they see the same explosion, right? And then it cuts to Mitsuki, who's like sleeping in the middle of the giant satellite, and she's like just like resting her head, like, and she's just like in the middle of this giant satellite. And okay, like whatever. And then the episode ends with Trevante and Jam trying to save Casper. They're doing CPR on him, and that's how the episode ends. So my rating for this episode is 2.5 out of 5. Now I know towards the end here, you can see me getting a little bit angry with how weird it was, but the episode is more of like a mixed bag for me than a full-on terrible episode. And it's not only mixed because there are some times where I'm literally laughing at this show because of how like comically bad I think it is sometimes, and some of the writing just makes me shake my head and laugh, and there is some entertainment value with that, right? But some things I thought were like straight up interesting, and I was actually invested in what was going on at times. First up, the people attacking Anisha and the family, I thought like in the moment, I thought that was interesting, even though we still don't know who those guys are. Them attacking them, I was like, who are these guys? Like, why do they want Anisha? Like, what's going on here? I thought it was like maybe a cool little element. Casper and Trevante in the hospital, there was some good stuff there. I thought Casper seeing the images, seeing like Sam Neill was cool, I guess, it was a quick thing. But seeing like the eclipse, the darkness, the stars, the space, all the images he was seeing, I was like, this is interesting. Like, what's his connection here? I also thought Trevante trying to take on the alien, 1v1 was kind of cool too. It didn't get me like hype, but I was like, okay, that's cool. But it sucks because like every time I thought there was like a good scene, it would like balance itself out by having an equally bad, if not worse, scene like right after. Like every time I was like, oh, this is somewhat cool. I'm actually like invested. Like I was aware. I'm like, wow, I'm engaged. And then like some sort of like bad writing or just a straight up bad scene would occur next, and there's never enough time to like stack up good scenes, because it would always bring itself back and remind myself that like it's just not a good show. And so that's just testament to the bad writing. Like I always say that. And some things to discuss, though. There are a couple of things that we can talk about and discuss and theorize about. One thing is Hinata still being alive. I thought that was interesting. I think we all sort of saw that coming. Do you guys think like she's actually dead now? I mean, they just nuked her, I guess, right? So do you think that was like actually her? Or do you think like we were just shown that scene to like throw us off and actually was the aliens? And maybe that's why like the aliens dropped at the end, because they died because they blew up the thing. But we still have one more episode left. Like, this isn't the ending, so it's like these aliens are gonna come back or they're still alive. I don't know, but we can get back to that after. Let's talk about Casper real quick and his seizures. I thought that was interesting, like I said. And that other planet we see in his images and his visions or whatever, do you think that was like Earth after the aliens attack us and he was like seeing into the future? And maybe that was like where the aliens came from. It was like their planet. And then the other big thing is his powers he has. Like I said, the Professor Xavier of aliens, he's able to control them in some way. What is that all about? Like, is he like the king of aliens? Like, what's going on there? It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. You guys have any theories on that, though? I kind of got nothing, though. But he has the power to stop them. We have the Dragon Glass that can stop these aliens, right? And then we have Casper who can just say stop. Or we used to have Casper. It seems like he might die now. I don't think he's going to die, though. I think they're going to bring him back to life in the next episode. And, so that aliens dropping thing, though. Do you think it's because Casper died and the aliens dropped because of that? Or do you think it's because of the satellite being destroyed and they dropped and they died because of that? Or do you think they're not dead? But there's a scene where they're on the walls and on the roof and then they just fall. Like they're dead. So I'm thinking, is that because of Casper or is it because of that Hinata thing being destroyed? And then also, like, why? Like why Casper dying would do that? Or why would that satellite thing being destroyed do that too? So they both don't make sense. Another big thing that happened here, like I said, Ahmed is dead. We can all cheer for that, be all happy about Ahmed being dead. Hopefully he's dead. Hopefully next episode they don't show that the guy hit a tree or whatever and he's not actually dead. And then what's up with those guys that attacked them? Like, who are those guys? You guys have any theories on that? I mean, they stole a military vehicle, I guess, right? They're not military, obviously. So who the hell are they? Why do they want Anisha? Like, for what reason? The one guy, he was like, I'm not dying. Tell me where she is. Maybe they learned about the dragon glass thing, right? And they want that because they know that's their only defense against these aliens. That sounds pretty good. And then the gook on the trees, I think that is what that poison in the atmosphere line is referring to. So do you think they're going a route where, like, they'd kill the aliens, but the aliens already did what they wanted to do and poisoned our atmosphere? So now we have to deal with that? I don't think that's so dumb. I don't think they go that far. But let me know what you guys think. I think that's all I wanted to cover. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about now. And we have one episode, I think, to see how it all plays out. Because honestly, like, I don't know. I don't think the show's going to get renewed. I honestly don't. I mean, a lot of people watch these videos. I think a lot of us are watching it. I know a lot of people that watch these also aren't actually watching the episode, but just watching these recaps. And so, like, it's still not good. You know, I think 2.5 is like an okay rating. Like, that's like, what, like a 5 out of 10, you know, if you want to look at it like that. But it's like still, like, I don't know. It's dumb. There's so many, it's just bad writing, bad characters. We're up to the last episode and I still don't feel fulfilled at all about what's going on. You've even shown us the aliens and I still think it's bad. I think a lot of us still think it's bad too. So it sucks that it seems like there's a lot going on, right? Now we have like these different guys, we have the atmosphere, and we're going to have one episode to see how it all comes together. Hopefully they wrap it up nicely. I know they already had plans for season 2, so you know it's going to end on some cliffhanger. But we'll see. This video probably went on for too long already. So let me know down below what you guys thought of the episode. Maybe did you guys like it? You guys might have liked it a lot. I think it was definitely one of the cooler episodes of the show, right? So much happened that maybe you guys did enjoy it. Let me know down below what you guys thought. Please make sure you like this video, guys, and I've been enjoying it. Thank you guys for watching so much. I will see you all in the next video. It's our last episode of Invasion next week. I'll see you all then. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you all in the next video. Yo, before you go, this is a little disclaimer, a little PS for the video. If you notice that this video is a little bit more sloppy or didn't flow so well, a lot of editing errors that happened with my laptop. I literally had the whole thing made, right, at like 1 a.m. I had it all made, just watched the episode. I was like, this is so good. I love it. The upload fails, right? Usually this happens. Sometimes this happens. I have to go back and delete some files because there's too many files on my laptop, right? Too many recordings. So guess what I do? I delete half of my recordings for this episode. I delete half of them. They're not my recycling bins. They're too big for it. So they're gone. They're completely gone. So I'm like, wow, I have to re-record it all again in different spots. Like I have, like it's all mixed together. So that's one why the flow is not the way it is, because I re-recorded them in like a later state. And then while I'm recording, the program just kept crashing like 10 times. And so there came to a point where I had to delete this template. And so, in terms of editing, I had all these different recordings now that I had to find out, where's this one go? There's this one to go, so they're not named. So I had to go re-record them all, and then I had to go edit them all again. So just want to tell you guys that, it's now 3:26 where I'm uploading this. We're supposed to upload at 1. I've been so angry. I try to keep the same vibe going throughout different recordings. But you can tell if you go back and watch it, whenever you see my hat like this and it's all messed up, that's a new one because I'm so pissed off. That's why I messed with my hat. But I just want to let you guys know because I know these videos aren't high quality. I know they're not the most entertaining, high value looking thing. But a lot of you guys watch this, and I want to give you guys the best quality that I can. And so I just apologize if it didn't flow so well. So next time I'll make sure that this problem doesn't happen again. And I know it's not maybe a big deal for you guys, but for me, I want it to be perfect. So thank you for watching. If you stuck around for this long, if you're watching this, thank you so much. You guys are the best. You guys are the real ones. Appreciate it. Love you guys so much. Thank you for making, this channel, something that you come back and watch. I love it. So thank you. See you all in the next video.